I'm Eusebius McKaiser. I'm here at the 2016 Old Mutual Wisdom Forum, and it gives me great pleasure to be in conversation with Professor Mthuli Ncube, who is a professor in public policy at the University of Oxford. Professor Ncube, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
The question of this year's Wisdom Forum is whether globalization is crumbling. It is deliciously provocative, but I sometimes wonder whether the question is one can take seriously. Globalization seems to be a fact of life, like gravity.
It is a fact of life, but it is being challenged. I think that the way you see the seeds of deglobalization beginning to germinate is in things like Brexit, for instance, or the anti-immigration policies right across Europe that you see, whether it's Germany, Switzerland and so forth, the UK itself, or indeed the rise of candidates such as Trump. Certainly, the right wing in France seem to have a bit more traction this time around. So clearly the seeds of deglobalization are there, and it is a worrying sign. But also there are real issues. For Africa, for example, the fact that global banks are no longer willing to give credit lines to some banks in Africa. So a simple fact of credit lines being available is a result of deglobalization. So there's some worrying signs.
Are these new trends? Because if one takes a longer view in terms of economic history, Professor Ncube, isn't the truth that globalization has always had winners and losers? Is there something in the moment that suggests a faster pace of deglobalization?
Certainly, it's not a faster pace. We've had winners and losers, and clearly the losers so far had not been compensated enough. But also, I think there are some mistakes being made. I think we've gone overboard globally. Let's just give the example of the banking sector, where U.S. banks or European banks say we won't give credit lines to African banks, which is impacting trade finance in Africa. That's going overboard because you want to manage risk in Europe or in the U.S. Absolutely. So yeah. But in terms of immigration, I think that it's fair to say that the world had opened up quite a bit to immigration. I think the Syrian crisis just made it worse for Europe. It just makes it more difficult. And at a moment when there's an economic slowdown, you almost have a perfect storm. We've increased immigration, but then the economic slowdown domestic in some of the countries, that puts pressure on jobs, on identity, on social services, on health, and then the citizens say, hang on, let's shut the borders, let's slow down the immigration. Yeah.
Does that mean we need to fundamentally rethink and maybe overhaul the global system? Or is it possible to tinker or even in a major way fix the global system without necessarily having to be panic-stricken in redesigning the way the world works?
I think we just need to tweak it, in my view. I don't think we need major redesign, frankly. We have all the laws, all the institutions. What we should do, we should not weaken the institutions that facilitate globalization, but strengthen them. And then some of us must actually guard those institutions.
Final question, just in 30 seconds. Big businesses here at the Wisdom Forum, they probably here hoping that you guys will tell them how they can remain winners in a crumbling globalization system. But if you speak to the average Joe on the streets, not in Sandton, but in Alex, they will probably hope that you will be telling these guys how they can be better partners in bringing about a more equal society. What will be the message for business this evening from you?
My message for business is that business is sitting on a pile of cash right now in South Africa and globally. Those are the facts. And I think they must have more confidence and begin to invest to create jobs. One way to close the inequality gap is just to create jobs and a lot of jobs. So my message to business is please begin to invest that cash. You will get your rewards in the long run.
Professor Ncube, fantastic being in conversation with you. Thank you.